At the beginning of the movie, the main character Craig talks about his hometown, Harlow, Maine. It is a beautiful town, but only a few spots stand out. There isn't much going on in this story, and all the characters are dull. We find out that Craig has moved away from Harlow in the present, and he is telling us about his childhood there in the early 2000s. He also talks about strange things that happened to him in his hometown. The movie then goes back in time, and we find out that Craig's mother died when he was a child. He still blames himself for it, but it doesn't say what caused the death. Next, we meet a billionaire who lives in Harlow and is the richest person there. Since Mr. Harrigan is a true Christian, he goes to church often and prays to God. When he hears Craig tell a story one day, he is very pleased. So, Mr. Harrigan goes to Craig's house the same night to make an offer. He wants the boy to read him all kinds of books, just like he does his vision. In exchange for his help, Craig will be paid $5 an hour. Not surprised, the second one agrees right away. Craig is shocked when he first sees the billionaire's grand villa on the first day of work. It looks like it has everything a person could want, but despite having there are only 2 more people living there, a handyman and a maid. After a while, Craig says hello to the old man and begins to read him a book. He keeps doing the same thing 3 times a week. As a surprise, the old man also gives Craig some lottery tickets. Craig took the job at first because he needed the money, but over the next 5 years, he and Mr. Harrigan become close friends. After getting to know the millionaire on a personal level, Craig is also curious about who he really is. So one day he goes to an internet shop and searches for Mr. Harrigan. It turns out that the old man used to be a businessman, and his employees used to complain about how stubborn he was. Surprisingly, some of them had had enough of how cruel he was, that they even did something unimaginable. But this doesn't change how Craig feels about the old man, so he keeps reading him books and stories. Then the movie jumps ahead a few more years, and Craig is now a teenager. He starts high school at a well-known school outside of the city. Craig gets into trouble when he looks at a bully named. On the first day of school, during lunch, Kenny walks up to Craig and asks him in a friendly way to polish his shoes. When Craig says no, Kenny gets a little too rough with him. Later that week, Ms. Hart's science teacher steps in and stops things from getting worse. Craig talks to Mr. Harrigan about what happened. The old man tells him that he should always be tough with bullies, whether at school or in business, because that's what he had to do when he was getting to know new people. Craig learns at his new school that computers are almost as important as money. The cafeteria at my high school is where all the cool and wealthy kids hang out. Students carry phones with them. For example, the group of douchebags with iPhones is thought to be the coolest. Wanting to be a part of this group, Craig asks his father for an iPhone. Unfortunately, the old man says no right away, saying that a teenager should only worry about schoolwork. But on Christmas Eve, Craig's boss, Mr. Harrigan, gives him another scratch-off lotto ticket as an extra gift. He wins a huge amount of money, which makes his day even better. His father finally buys him an iPhone for Christmas, which makes him very happy. Craig first calls Mr. Harrigan on his new iPhone to thank him for the winning lottery ticket. They talk for a bit before going to bed. The next day at school, Craig is excited to show his friends his new phone. Then he goes to the cafeteria to hang out with the cool kids, including his crush. Jennifer is sitting next to Craig. In an audio, Craig says that he has come to realize that his old employee is lonely and useless without him, and that spending time with Mr. Harrigan makes him feel happy, too. He chooses to give up because of all of these things. Similar to the old man, not only to show him the new technology but also so they can stay in touch from anywhere. So, Craig buys the phone and gives it to his boss in a nice way. This is some advertising for Steve Jobs. Initially, Mr. Harrigan says he doesn't keep such trendy things near him. He thinks that he will start to need them. But Mr. Harrigan quickly changes his mind when Craig shows him how to track stock prices over the phone. Craig shows him new things he can do with a smartphone over the next few weeks. For example, he can read news that is up to date, unlike newspapers, which tell news a day late. Mr. Harrigan gets so interested in the machine that he stops caring about the books Craig reads. For him, he spends the whole day just looking through his phone. We can see that Mr. Harrigan is getting sicker because he has to wear a breathing mask at night. Sadly, bad things will happen soon. As part of his pattern, Craig goes to the big house every morning. One morning, he finds Mr. Harrigan dead on the floor. Since the 2 housekeepers are on vacation, he gets scared and calls his dad. His dad tells him to wait until help comes. Craig reads a book to his close friend with tears in his eyes. Cut to the next scene one last time. Craig, his father, and a few people from the neighborhood go to Mr. Harrigan's funeral together. Even though the teen is upset about losing his friend, he still finds time to read some of his favorite books. Then, he decides to sneak Mr. Harrigan's phone was inside. The corpse is already dressed. Not long after the funeral, Mr. Harrigan's personal financial manager comes up to Craig and his father. They find out that the old man left Craig a large sum of money in his will to help him pay for college. This is because the old man loved and respected Craig, and also because he was shocked by how much money he had. Craig leaves a message on Mr. Harrigan's phone. He says he would do it. If only he could get his old friend back, he would pay the whole amount. Craig also sends a text message saying that he misses the time they spent together. At this point, things start to feel strange. Craig gets a reply the next morning, which is a very vague message from Mr. Harrigan's number. I was surprised by this strange thing. He tells his dad about it, but the old man is sure that someone is trying to trick him. Craig won't accept this answer, so his father explains the situation. Craig wants to dig up Mr. Harrigan's grave to see if he is still living. It seems that the old man was alone that day, and he died of a heart attack because he was so tired. After a thorough check of the body, the results of the investigation confirmed this. When Craig hears this, he comes back to himself and takes his dad's. Craig continues to mourn his loss as the days go by, but he doesn't stop going to school. One day, the neighborhood bully Kenny is caught selling drugs and is kicked out of school. He thinks that Craig was the one who told on him, but he is wrong. So, on the day of the school's yearly event, he sneaks into the school and beats up Craig. But despite all of this, the second person still doesn't tell the police. Instead, he leaves Mr. Harrigan a message about it, clearly not hoping for anything to happen, only to help him share his sadness. But to everyone's surprise, Kenny is soon found dead in an accident. It was said that the bully was drunk and had fallen from his second-floor bedroom. We see his body with a can of shoe polish in his hand and some polish on his mouth. This is creepy because the first time Craig and Kenny talked, Kenny told Craig that he would either polish Craig's shoes or eat the whole thing. In the meantime, Craig loses his mind because he is sure that Mr. Harrigan's ghost killed the bully. He is shaken to the core. He learns more about Mr. Harrigan's past and learns about a man who used to work for a billionaire but was fired after he was caught stealing. After a few days, this person found dead, too, like a lot of other people who have worked for Mr. Harrigan over the years. Craig doesn't know what to say because he thinks his old close friend was bad. He also buys a new phone number because he wants to change it. He keeps the old phone, though, because it was the first one he had for a long time. Everything looks good. As Craig finishes high school and starts college in Boston to study media, he tells us that he is doing well in his classes. However, one day his father calls him to tell him more shocking and sad news. It turns out that his science teacher in high school, Ms. Hart, died in a terrible accident when he was in high school. Craig was close to his teacher because she was the only one who helped and talked to him when he was having trouble. When Craig goes back to his hometown, he finds out that Dean Whitmore, the man charged in this accident, was driving after drinking. He has also been caught for driving drunk before, but Dean is what Craig and the other students want. He was punished for being careless. The court just tells him to go to rehab for 6 months and lets him off the hook. I was angry that justice wasn't done. Craig chooses to do something about it himself. He remembers the strange magical power he has, and he doesn't waste any time before leaving a message at Mr. Harrigan's number asking for Dean Witt to be killed. Craig feels bad about what he did the next day and hopes no one gets hurt. He also checks the internet all the time to see if Dean is still living. Dean's body was found in the shower of the rehab center where he was living, which made his worst fears come true. Now that he knows everything about what's going on, Craig is even more upset. He also starts to understand that, in a way, he is responsible for the deaths of Dean and the bully. Kenny Craig just saw Death Note, and now he's going crazy. When Craig finds out about this, he goes to Mr. Harrigan's house and starts looking for anything that seems magical. He doesn't find much in the room, but when he opens a secret closet, he finds old pictures of Mr. Harrigan. Craig had never been sure about Mr. Harrigan chose to hire him instead of some of the other boys, even though some of the other boys could read better. For the job, he finally knows the answer now, just like him. Mr. Harrigan also lost his mother when he was very young. Because of this, he liked Craig better than the others. The next scene shows Craig going to the cemetery and talking to Mr. Harrigan's grave. He says that he now knows what the strange text from the old man's number meant. Mr. Harrigan told Craig to stop getting in touch with him. Craig says that the main reason for this is that Mr. Harrigan was hurt by these reaches out because he couldn't rest peacefully, or that he didn't want Craig to get hurt because the young boy was getting angry and ready to fight back. After he went to Mr. Harrigan's grave, his old phone, which was the last way he could talk to him, was finally thrown into the lake. This means that they can no longer talk about ghosts or other strange things. Craig also wants to get rid of his phone, but he can't because cell phones have become so important in today's world. The movie ends with another background story in which Craig says he wants to be buried with empty bags, which means he doesn't want anything in particular.